Right, let's see if this is actually working this time. Come on. Right, let's see. Yes, it is. Fantastic. Sorry about that, guys. My microphone wasn't working, so I just restarted everything to fix it. Not quite sure what went on there. We are just ending practice now anyway, so we haven't quite started watching qualifying yet. Just a quick one on practice. So Rozhnov with a 20.6, massively quick. Remember, he won last week. He just went off track there. Rejniks and Cabras, who's actually a silver driver, are the only drivers within a second of that time. Then we've got a huge host of gold drivers all the way down to P15, including Capel in 6th. He's been moved back up to gold after last week. Seems to be pretty quick here as well. We're at Bathurst, by the way, the incredibly challenging track in the mountains of Australia. A little bit further back, Fitzinho seems to have a 7/10 lead over Van Hall in the bronze in practice as well. So Fitz, Cabras and Rozhnov look like the quickest in class at the moment. So, yeah, it should be interesting. We're just waiting for qualifying to begin now. Couple drivers actually setting times, I think, including Rejniks. Moro's just popped up into 2nd in practice as well. So, some drivers started to close in on Rozhnov's time. Our 2-time defending champion, I can't see where he was on the list, but he is racing tonight. Weatherston. I think I need to learn to start calling him Davey so that I don't have any more confusion with him and Weston and Winters. So I see who got out the pits. Number 91. Who is the number 91 driver? It is Scanlon. I think he is the lead driver out the pits, actually. So he'll be the first one to set a time. I don't think he's finished on the podium yet this season. So we'll be expecting a little bit more. Quite a popular track in ALR is Bathurst. It's one of the ones that usually wins the returning track vote in GT, so we see it plenty on the GT calendar, making another trip on the ACC calendar as well, which is good to see. Very, very challenging circuit, especially in ACC where the cars are a bit more tricky to drive than in GT around, well, it depends on the car that you're in, I suppose. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see which cars are quick around here, because it's a very different track to the first two of the season, especially with the climbing the mountain. Might favour certain engines or certain cars with the Aero setups that they've got. I think that the tuning will be very important for tonight as well. But yeah, it looks like we're up and running with the commentary anyway. Well, lap times are similar to GT, so the fastest in practice was a 20.6. So, similar, yes. Fairly similar. I think some of the fastest guys in GT can get the 59s. Might be the same here as well. So, yeah, fairly similar lap times. Anyway, we've got the Aston Martin of Scanlon. That's Bomber to you and me, about to start his first hot lap. We've only got 12 minutes and 53 seconds left of qualifying already. That's how long the out lap takes. So he is just ahead of Rejniks. So Rejniks is the one behind him. So we can kind of see what's going on with both of them on this flying lap. So this is just turn 2. His lap's been going for about 30 seconds, and that's how long it takes to actually get from the start line to turn 2. Now we enter the incredibly tricky uphill section. Quite a lot of these corners have very particular braking points, and some of them you don't even brake, you just lift as you try and negotiate your way through the twists and turns. Very difficult to follow around here. Impossible to overtake without there being some sort of incident. I think we will see lots of drivers in the walls in this particular part of the track, potentially on the first lap as well when they're all bunched together. We're approaching a back marker who needs to get out of the way. He goes straight on, that's good. That's exactly what that runoff is there for, but he's got Regnix coming around as well. There he is, Regnix, so he managed to get past as well. Now we're going downhill, down the mountain. Completely different kind of challenge on the car. So sometimes you'll see certain types of cars gain loads of time up the mountain and then just lose it all down the mountain because of the way that the cars are tuned and basically just what suits the car. So what we're looking for here as he heads down the back straight is a 2-minute 1 would be probably a top 10 time. In the 2 minutes, you're talking top 3 start. So let's see what Scanlon could do as he rounds the final chicane, and then we head to the final corner with 11 minutes left on the clock. Regnix shortly behind him as well. And it's going to be a 2-minute 2 for Regnix, and Scanlon was almost half a second back. Now let's join Rojnov, who is about to cross the line. He goes quickest with a 2-minute 1.345. So that is a good lap for Rojnov. Capel 1.5 seconds off him. Peter up into second place with a time that is a 2 flat, so 7/10 off of Rojnov. Paul messing up his first lap. He's 3.9 off. Tierney 4 seconds off. These guys not having the best of laps. Fitterer a bit better, 2.6 seconds off of Rojnov. He is just being overtaken in provisional pole by Dan. Paris in 7th. Andy Winters pops up into 6th now as well. So let's join Peter as he is starting his second lap, and we'll keep an eye on the timing screen as well. So we'll follow Peter because he is the one that is closest to Rojnov as it stands. Got Chaos, the first silver driver to finish a lap. He's 9 seconds down, so that's how tough it is, and we might see quite a big field spread in this. Potentially some lapped cars if these are the times that they're setting in qualifying. Cabras, who was so quick in practice, is up into 11th there. Kapadia, that is HK, he is 16th now. He's in the silver class. As we see, Peter completely spinning out, and this is a disaster because, oh, he resets to pits. That is a relief. Morrow, meanwhile, is up in second, and there's loads of traffic around here as I think all the drivers are trying to set quick laps. Morrow has definitely set a quick one. He's 6/10 off Rojnov, up in P2 at the moment. This isn't going to be a quick lap for him. Let's join one of these further down. O'Leary looks like he's just finished a lap. He's popped up in 17th, 4.6 seconds off the pace still. Number 91 is next. That is Scanlon again, so he's already round to complete his second lap. It looks like Regnix is a lot closer to him this time. He is 1.1 seconds off the pace. Regnix, where is he? I can't see his time there. Oh, he's on pole position, that's why. 2-minute flat. Huge excuse me, improvements for Regnix. He might have a problem this lap though, because he's very, very close to Bomber. So his quest for improving he might have to do a little bit of a cool down lap right now. Zaitsev has popped up into 6th place as well. Let's follow him in the Mustang. We know the Mustang's pretty strong. Peter's popped up into 4th. Zaitsev is in 6th. So 2 in the top 6 for Mustang, 2 in the top 6 also for Ferrari. But it's a McLaren on pole at the moment. A little bit of a dodgy entry into that corner from Zaitsev. Didn't take the full width of the corners. Got overtaken just now by Andy Winters, who popped up into 5th place. Rojnov in 2nd, Morrow in 3rd, just behind Regnix. So now we're heading down the very long back straight. This is where the Mustang will be gaining a huge chunk of time. He's 1.3 seconds off the pace at the moment. Weatherston only down in 10th, by the way, in the Honda. So not having the best of qualifying so far. He's got a couple more laps to improve on. He has been known to pop it really high late on. There's a yellow flag out for somebody as well, but we're focused on Zaitsev right now. Second race in ALI. He's going to try and get further up in the grid. He was doing very well, on for a podium last week before an incident, but let's see if he can improve. And he stays 7th after all that. Scanlon looks like he's about to round the bend. I wonder if he's going to come into the pits. No, he's carrying on again. See if he can improve this time. There's yellow flags out still, so I don't know what's going on. Scanlon up into P4, less than a second off of Regnix's best time. So he is moving up into the top 4. There's a huge field spread between the top 2 and the rest. Rozhnov is out on track right now, just going down the hill. So let's stick with him for a little bit and see if he can improve his time. He's got 3/10 to catch. He's been in the 2-minute flats previously, so we know what he's capable of. Race winner from last week as well. Steenstra only 15th. We've seen him in the top 4 in qualifying quite regularly, so that's a bit of a disappointing lap for him. Weatherston's been shuffled down into 12th and is in the pits at the moment. So he's probably going to go out and only have a time for one lap, one hot lap by the looks of things. He has left the pits, so potentially 2 if he's timed it perfectly, which is probably what he's trying to do. You get the most benefit at the very end of a session when the track is the most rubbered in. Anyway, Rozhnov rounding the final bend. Is he going to be able to improve? He's already been knocked down to 3rd, and then he reclaims 2nd, but still can't get into the 2-minute flat. So Morrow up into 3rd place. 2nd place momentarily, gets overtaken. Regnix has come round to start another lap, so he hasn't beaten his own best time. Tell a lie, this camera's playing tricks on me. No, it isn't. He is on his new lap. Capel's popped up into P5, going down the hill now in the Ferraris. That's 3 Ferraris in the top 5 at the moment. The Mustang's falling back a little bit. Only one driver managing to get anything out of the McLaren. Steenstra's popped up into 10th place now as well, so he's managed to set a more representative time. Pizzino has a huge lead of multiple seconds in Bronze's race for pole position. It's being cut down to just a second, with Fracas setting a decent time down in 21st. We're following Capel in qualifying as he approaches this fast to slow, medium speed, I don't even know what you'd call it, kind of chicane. It's a bit of an awkward one, very easy to get wrong and go into the gravel. It looks like he wasn't going too quick, so I don't think he's going to be improving on his time, but let's just stick with him just in case. The number 8 driver, Capel, was gold, then silver, moved back to gold again, and he crosses the line and does not improve that time. Let's have a look at our 2-time champion Weatherston. It looks like he's just about to cross the line to start his hot lap, because he's literally just come out the pits. He's got 4 minutes and 3, 2, 1. I don't think he's going to get a second lap in. We're going to have to wait and see. But let's follow him around for this lap and keep an eye on the scores. Weatherston knocked down to 13, actually behind 2 silver drivers. This is very unusual for Weatherston. Rozhnov's just taken pole position off of Regnix. Regnix is in the pits. He probably can get out and do one more lap. But Rozhnov, the first person in the 2 minutes, 2-minute .802. He has only 2 drivers within half a second of him at the moment. So this is utterly dominant for Rozhnov, but Regnix and Morrow showing absolutely fantastic form in this qualifying session as well. Weatherston now 2 seconds he's got to find in order to get to the front of the grid. He was down in 11th in this stage last week and then popped up into 2nd right at the end. We might see that happen again. We'll have to wait and see. Now he's going down the downhill section, the only Honda driver on the grid. We do operate a certain type of bop to try and even out the cars, because they aren't all the same in terms of how good they are on pace. Here we go. Looks like someone just reset to pits at the very last second there. A bit strange, bit of a glitch. Anyway, no one seemed to been improving on their times much. We got Oliver popped up into the top 10. The top silver driver is now at 11th. But we got Weatherston really trying to jump them all. He's got enough time for one more lap after this, but it might be cutting it fine if he wants another one after that as well, because we've only got 2 minutes and 5 seconds left to qualifying. Unless he's below 2 minutes, I don't think he's going to get an extra lap in. No, he's crossing the line in 2:55. He does improve. It's only to 9th. This is his only chance to improve on that. Let's join Regnix, who is coming through the final sector now. He has he needs to find basically 0.3 of a second to get pole position off of Rozhnov, but Rozhnov might be improving as well. Rejniks will have one more lap in him after this one as well, so it's not over if he hasn't managed to do it this time. Let's see what he does. He's crossing the line now. Stays P2, doesn't improve at all. Morrow's in the pits, his qualifying's over. Scanlon is heading down the back straight. Pretty decent qualifying for him. He's up in 4th place at the moment. He's got a lot of drivers breathing down his neck. He needs to find more of a cushion, even if he can't reach the top 3. So, last corner for Scanlon. He's going to have a chance for one more after this as well. We head to the line. He's 9/10 away now. He's got 0.3 of a second there. Capel is the next one who's going to have to respond. He is just finishing his lap now. And that is going to be not an improvement for Capel. So he's going to be under a little bit of pressure from Peter, who's just coming down the back straight. No, he's not. He's starting a lap. So let's go and join Andy Winters, who's just about to go on the back straight. Andy Winters down in 7th at the moment in the Ferrari. 4 Ferraris in the top 7 as it stands. He's only 1/10 of a second away from P5, so he hasn't got to find all that much time. P4's probably in his sights as well. So he's rounding the fast chicane, manages to take it pretty smoothly. Again, doesn't use the full width of the track. We've seen another driver do that. Pretty interesting tactic. Potentially not needed here. The checkered flag is out now, so these are the final laps. This is Andy's last lap. Is he going to be able to improve on a P8? No, he's not. Rozhnov, meanwhile, it's come into the pits. That's why it looks like that. So he's bailed out on his lap. Paris will be actually the next person to set a lap here. Everyone else seems to be in the pits. So a lot of people bailing out on their final laps. Paris just ahead of Scanlon on this straight. Followed by Weston as well. So those are the 3 drivers to keep a lookout for in moving up in the order. Paris 17th at the moment, 4th in class in qualifying. We'll be looking for a little bit more than that. He is 2.1 off of pole time at the moment, so there definitely is more in the bank for Paris. He's in the Bentley, by the way. He was in the Nissan last week, so they've reset his points for this week as well. Nice to see the Bentley on track. He's up into P12. Scanlon jumps up to 4th ahead of Weatherston. Weatherston did get to the checkered flag before qualifying ended, so he's going to be the last person to set a lap once again. Zaitsev is going to try and improve. He's down in 10th. He could get up to P6, and he does with just ahead of Capel in P7. So that's a great qualifying in the end for him, managing to leapfrog quite a few people. Next, we've got Oliver down in 14th, just behind another driver who is Chaos all the way down in 29th, trying to improve at the end. So let's see what Chaos can do. And then have a quick look at Ben behind him. Chaos is 29th at the moment. And he moves up to 28th. Oliver is... Right, I should have gone on to Weatherston there before it says the session has ended, because it's not. We've got Weatherston still on a lap, still potentially improving. He was up in... Where was he? P5, so we just have to keep an eye out and see if that's improved from a P5 for Weatherston. I don't understand why the game does this. It's pretty annoying. But yeah, provisional, well not provisional, it's actually class pole for Fitzinho. He was 9/10 ahead of Fracas in the end, who was himself was 3/10 ahead of Major. Quite a big field spread down the order after that. Skippers and Danders didn't set a lap at all. Not sure if that's a quali bans or if that is just not being able to get a good lap in. But yeah, quite a big field spread. Kane only 8.4 and Chaos only 8.3 off the pace. Dandes had a ban, okay. Interesting. Well, I'm expecting him to come through the field. He's a good racer, quite consistent. It's going to be chaos this first lap. I'm not going to be sure who to follow. My predictions are the top guys. Okay, Weatherston didn't improve. He's P5. The top guys will probably get away somewhere in the mid pack. There's going to be a massive crash. There's going to be loads of people with lots of damage resetting to the pits. If they don't do that, that's incredibly impressive. Something interesting to note, the top 13 are all gold drivers. Paris ended up getting silver pole ahead of Cabras, Vitra, Tierney and Maurer. So that was solid. And then no bronze drivers all the way down to 19. So Fitzinho doing pretty well to get into the top 20 ahead of O'Leary. Pole and Spectre having a pretty bad qualifying. Same as Capadia HK. Is he really a gold driver? I have a feeling he's not, because he's a reserve actually. And I think reserves show up like that as well. It's like I show up as a gold driver, definitely not a gold driver. So everyone will be currently just getting their race setups up and running. This is going to be an incredibly long outlap as well, actually. I'm going to class HK as an honorary bronze, even if he's not, if he's just in like that reserve championship that they set up. So, who had really good qualifiers compared to where they usually go? Rojnov in P1, a really solid qualifying, but I think we come to expect that from him now. Same with Morrow in P3. Rejnik's much improved on previous weeks. Same with Scanlon. Both of them doing very well in this qualifying session. We'll still be disappointed with P5, but we know he is capable of picking his way through the field. Zaitsev, P6, another strong top 10. I can't remember where exactly he was last week. Capel's continuing his good form from last week as well. Peter will be disappointed in 8th. He won the first race, don't forget. So, yeah, he'll be a bit frustrated. Andy Winters in P9. Weston in 10th is a little bit lower than he usually is. Oliver, Omorda. Steenstra, that's really low for Steenstra. He was, I think, 2nd last week. So, yeah, down to 11 places in 1 week. Pole down in 21st. I'm pretty sure he's gold and not reserve. And then Spectre. Everyone's starting to pull away now anyway. But, yeah, Paris, I'm pretty sure that he didn't get pole last week for his class. So, that'll be pole for him. Cabras, he was like a good 2nd ahead of every other silver driver in practice. And he didn't get pole. So, potentially could pick his way through the field. I was expecting him to be close to the top 10, to be honest. Fitterer, I think, might be a little bit disappointed to be down in 16th. Tierney, we know, can be very solid, and he is, well, yeah, everyone's going to be really close. The competition in the midfield is going to be crazy in these first few corners. And then Fitzinho just has to keep his nose out of trouble, because he's got quite a big cushion to Fracas, Major and Van Hall further back. So they're still not even at turn 2. I've just gone through the entire grid basically. So we're at Bathurst today, Mount Panorama, Bathurst, whatever you want to call it. It is one of the most iconic tracks in the world in my opinion. Home of a few famous races in various categories. V8 Supercars is one of the main ones. They have a V8 Supercar League where for the Bathurst races they get guest drivers like co-drivers because they do stints, and the guest drivers are usually quite famous sports drivers. Sometimes they get the odd Formula 1 driver, quite a lot of ex-Formula 1 drivers, IndyCar drivers, GP2, other kinds of Le Mans series as well, and it's quite a good one. Get lots of GT3 races here as well. Unfortunately, I don't think it's a suitable track for open wheelers, apart from the really slow ones like the Formula Fords, I suppose. What was that? There was a New Zealand championship that did like Formula regional cars. but they stayed in New Zealand, which has a surprisingly large amount of racetracks for a country with no population. Just lots of land to build tracks on, I suppose. Yeah, difficult to make a track like this FIA Grade 1 safe because it's literally carved into a mountain. If you make a mistake and you're going a lot quicker than what these cars are capable of, it's a lot more hazardous. No runoff area in most of the track as well. Anyway, we're finally on the back straight. The cars, well, a lot of them are done warming up the tyres, it looks like. Rozanov just leading the way, so we got a Ferrari in first, then it's a McLaren, Ferrari, Aston, Honda, Ford. It's quite a lot of variation in the top 6. So yeah, this BOP looks like it's doing its job in getting a lot of drivers up there. Obviously the Bentley is on pole for silver, and there's a Lambo in third place in silver as well. And then the BMWs are very popular in bronze tier, and 2 of the top 3 there are in the top, so it seems to be doing pretty well for them. We're approaching the chicane now, and it's going to be a bit of an awkward one because we've got 30 cars and we've got a very short run to turn 1 after the final corner, so it's going to be green conditions before the final corner for some of these, which could spell disaster. Everyone's going to have to be so careful around here, or else the race might be over before it even begins. Everyone is inching along at the moment. Little purple car out of place there, got back into position. The guys on the outside have a lot further to go around that corner. And we're about to go live, and green. Right now, Rozanov looks like he got a much worse start than Regniks. Regniks leading into turn 1, it looks like. Rozanov's going to stick his nose in and try and get the position back. It looks like he does. The other Ferrari of Morrow pretty close behind as well. Everyone seems to have negotiated turn 1 sensibly there. Rozanov with quite a handy lead over Regniks at the moment. Regniks slotting in to P2 there. Looks like we've got a couple of drivers challenging for position. Scanlon going on the inside, Morrow on the outside. Morrow potentially falling back now behind a couple of these cars as well. Weatherston lurking in the background as well. Everything is shaking out as we all the drivers are just coming through the first sector, but it is advantage to I have to wait for all these drivers to actually get through the first sector. Looks like number 46 and 486 pole hasn't even got out of the pit lane yet. So yeah, definitely been some issues to begin with, but Rozanov still has the lead over Regniks, and then it is Scanlon up into third ahead of Morrow, who looks like he's fallen back a little bit from them. Then Zaitsev and Kapale. Kapale actually got past Zaitsev and is chasing down Morrow, so we'll have to see what he can do. Fairly decent start there. Looks like the top 14 are all still gold drivers. Paris still top for silver. Fitzinho still top for bronze. Morrow under a lot of pressure at the start of the race. A lot of drivers causing yellow flags up the hill as well. But we'll stick with this little battle because Kapale might have a go into the braking zone. If they want to show us it, there's a little battle with Weatherston behind as well, but we'll stick with Kapale. Is he going to be able to do anything? Not this time. What about Andy Winters? Andy Winters fending off the car behind, which is actually Peter. I think Weatherston... No, it's not. It's Weatherston. Weatherston in the purple Honda. Got to remember that. Pretty close as we finish the first lap, actually. That's crazy. That's been a long lap. 57 minutes left on the clock. Rozanov currently in the lead. Let's go a little bit further back. Got lots of drivers in the pits currently. Let's scroll down and see who's in the pits. Zaitsev's been in the wars, as has Weston, Steenstra, Spectre, Fracas as well. Even though he qualified P2, it's not gone well for him. We've got a few drivers pretty far back as well. Omoda hasn't finished. Oh wow, his car is completely totaled, same as Blocker right ahead of him, so they're coming into the pits. Skippers actually is carrying on with the car looking that damaged. Maybe they don't want to do their pit stop yet. Scanlon currently chasing down Regnix in a nice little battle for P2. Nice to see these guys at the front of the grid again. It's been a little while. Capel really keeping up with them as well, actually. Everyone negotiating the mountain section pretty well in this little battle. Rozhanov looks like he is creating a bit of a gap at the front though. Lots of drivers still stuck in the pits as well. Okay, there's not going to be any action there, so let's have a look at what Major's up to. It says he's only got a driver less than a second behind, but that's definitely longer than a second. Kane's made some good progress, up into 17th. From the back of the grid, his car is looking pretty damaged. Everyone's car, after a certain point, is looking quite damaged. Let's join the battle for silver. Paris in the lead at the moment. His car is looking pretty good. Cabras just behind him, has a bit of a bashed up front. Actually, so does Dan's. Everyone's been in the wars. Everyone's been in the wars so far, and I think we're going to continue seeing it as time goes on, because the gaps that have formed already outside the top 7 is pretty big, actually. Well, this isn't at the back of that pack, but Cabras very, very close to Dan, so we'll have to see how much the damage they've both got. I would love to see that. But it does look pretty light. Definitely nothing to pit early about anyway. Kane's come into the pit, so he must have been in the wars as well. Right. Every time I join a battle, they don't produce anything. So let's join the front again. We've got Regnix ahead of Scanlon. He's got quite a good gap on Scanlon now. Scanlon, Morrow, and Capel are all pretty close. What the hell is going on with this? HK is fast. Let's have a look. Where is he? He's in the pits, so I guess not anymore. He must have been in the wars. You have to make one mandatory stop, but you don't want to be making it this early, because the tyres at the end won't be thanking you. But look how battered and bruised his car is, so that's kind of and he's not quite parked it properly either. Never mind. At the top, Scanlon's got a good lead. Let's join a little bit further down. Let's see what's going on with Major. Major has dropped down a little bit. He's down in 16th. It says he's just off of O'Leary. Yeah, there's O'Leary just in front of him. And then Fitzinho's the purple car that you just saw there. So that's how far Major is away from leading his class. These are basically the last guys who haven't got serious damage on their car. Everyone else started way further back. Dandes started last. He's worked his way up to 17th, but he's still pretty cut off from everyone else. He's got a little bit of damage as well. Meanwhile, this battle at the front looks pretty exciting. I think I saw Morrow having a look at someone, but we can't really see what's going on with these camera angles. They're absolutely appalling. Anyway, so he's just ahead of Capel still. So Capel looks like he's got the pace on Morrow, but there's not a lot he can do. What's going on here? It looks like a lapped car is getting out of the way of everyone. This is not a good part of the track to slow down and let cars past. God, this is a nightmare for the guys who've had to pit. The entire front 7 are all incredibly close together, and you've got to get out the way for all of them. You're using at least like 15 seconds doing all this. There's another one he's going to get out the way of now. So that gives more a bit of breathing space because of all of the negotiating that they had to do. Drive-through penalty for car 139 for speeding in the pit lane. That is Tierney. Not going well for Tierney. He's been in the pits, he's been in the wars, and he's got another pit stop to make after this one. Survival of the fittest, that is right. Because there's going to be a lot more incidents between now and the end of the race. People are crashing a lot on the mountain section, and we've not even had 10 minutes of this race. Everyone's still fairly close together, but no one's really having a go at anyone else, which is quite familiar from the opening couple of rounds. So I don't know if they've all tuned the cars quite similarly, but they're not really gaining massively on the incredibly long straights that we've got. Turn 1, like one of the most important turns on the track to get right, but it's so easy to get wrong because it's a really short braking zone and you've got to carry quite a lot of speed. A bit like, it feels unnatural how much speed you have to carry through there. Capella using the full width of the exit to try and slingshot his way into the sights of Morrow, but it's not going to be enough once again. In fact, Andy Winters is closer to him. Three Ferrari drivers on track here. At the front, let's give Rozhanov a bit of screen time. He's gapped Regniks by 2.4 seconds now. So both of them driving incredibly consistently. Rozhanov not got a massive pace advantage over the rest of the field, but he is looking fairly comfortable at this stage. Scanlon and Morrow and Capel and Winters are all still pretty close. Weatherston's starting to drop off the back a little bit. He's about 2 seconds behind Andy Winters now. So, yeah, he's not feeling as comfortable here as he was elsewhere this season. Let's see what's going on right at the back. So we got Steenstra down in 30th, so this is just 1 point for Steenstra. The guy who has qualified right at the front of the grid, really struggling so far in his McLaren. Bit of a miserable time. Spectre impressed so much in round 1. Struggling a little bit in the Porsche today. Porsche struggles in GT as well around here, actually. Not one of the more popular cars this season, the Porsche. A lot of people were driving it in Season 1, and it's dropped off a cliff, so maybe it's the BOP that they've decided to use, makes it not as good. Got Weston getting lapped here. Unexpected for a gold driver. We got Fracas is 4 laps down. That's crazy. These are people who've probably had to reset to pits. He's just behind Omoda, and he's just ahead of a Ferrari who's probably about to lap. And then we've got Van Hall, who we've just caught at the worst moment. Looks like he's spun out there. I don't know what the camera angle's doing, but we saw his car just spin out of view. Pole in 25th. So he's worked his way back up. He had a... Oh, Van Hall's had to reset to the pits now. That's why. Chaos in 24th place. He's made his mandatory pit stop. So he's just going to try and nurse this car to the end of the race without trying to bash it up too bad. We've got Tierney trying to chase down Capadia. Tierney's got his drive-through that he's about to serve though. Capadia's got some damage. Maybe he'll be coming into the pits a bit earlier than expected to just heal that damage. It is probably not going to cost him too much time actually. It will be costing him every single lap, especially on the straights at the moment. The highest driver to have made a pit stop, by the way, is Maurer. He's up in 19th despite having made his stop. He is over a lap down on the leaders, but that is the case for pretty much everyone. Everyone from, I think, Blocker down, so that's P17. So maybe that's where his sights are for the end of the race. He is currently 5th in class as well. Major, meanwhile, is dropping off the back of Fitzinho. Fitzinho is in a world of his own. Major is still stuck behind O'Leary in silver. So they're lapping pretty similarly, but O'Leary comfortably in front of Major at the moment. We've got Fitzinho starting to gap them again. There he is in the silver, in the purple, sorry, McLaren. Paris at the front of silver. He's got a lead of 1.3 seconds over... What is going on here? Cabras. He's got the Bentley just ahead of a couple of cars fighting each other on track here, but they're not fighting him for position. Actually, that is Cabras behind in the Ferrari. And I think he was lapping that orange car. Weatherston started to really close the gap on Andy Winters and Capel as well. Starting to see a train actually forming behind Scanlon. Scanlon's at the head of this train. Oh! Someone getting turn 1 all wrong there. Here is Scanlon. He's got Morrow closing in on him. He maybe made a bit of a mistake somewhere because he wasn't 4 seconds off the back of Regniks. previously. Up the hill once again. We're on lap 7 now. Only a quarter of the way through the race, and it's been absolutely chaotic for a lot of the drivers. We've got the number 83 in the pits for damage. That is Van Hall. He's dropped down to 30th now as well with that. That was the driver, I think, who span on the first corner, potentially. But yeah, we're following Scanlon. He's slowly getting caught by Morrow. Capel is starting to drop a little bit off the back of Morrow as well. So he'll be wanting... Someone's being disqualified. I think that's Tierney that's being disqualified for speeding in the pit lane while serving the pit lane penalty. I don't know how you do that, actually. So, that's helpful for everyone else. I guess that's 0 points for Tierney. Anyway, the gap between Scanlon, Morrow and Capel is closing in again, so potentially Scanlon not enjoying the downhill section of the mountain too much. I think Weatherston is on the hunt with Andy Winters as well. Let's join this battle. There we go. Andy just ahead, a little bit sideways through the entry of the chicane. Weatherston is maybe lining up a move. Not for the final corner, really tricky getting a move done there, and into turn 1, but he might fancy turn 1, he's super close. If he gets a better exit here, then it might be game over for Andy for this position. Here we go. Weatherston maybe looking after his tyres a little bit better. Andy just didn't have much of a chance there, but he's in the slipstream. Maybe he's going to have a go into turn 2. Well, he has a little look, but nothing he could do about that. Davy's never going to let him get away with that kind of move. So, a little bit of progress for Davy, up to P6. Capel still stuck behind Morrow and Bomber. Bomber is struggling a lot right now. It seems like the Ferraris have come alive, actually, apart from for Andy. Everyone else seems to be doing pretty well right now, so I'm not sure if it's a Ferrari thing or if it's just who's looked after their tyres the best. Blue flag's coming up again. Unfortunate timing for Scanlon. Everyone's so close together now. That is a very dodgy place to allow cars to overtake, but he gets away with it. Regnick's starting to lose a bit of time himself, actually. So potentially a little bit of a mistake for Regnick's in the mountain section. He's gap to Scanlon, who's himself is getting caught by the chasing pack, is under 3 seconds now. Which is even better for Rosnov, to be honest. Here we go. It looks like Scanlon made a big error there in terms of his braking. He did manage to make the corner, but Morrow just absolutely sent it and got the position. He's still having to defend in the final corner. Looks like he's going to get the position. Scanlon's going to try the cutback. This is the fight for P3, and looks like Morrow's got away with it for now. Scanlon's going to have the slipstream for the first time in a long time in this race as we head into turn 2, though, so it's not over for him. Capel also lurking in the background, ready to pounce and compound Scanlon's misery, potentially. Oliver, one of the first front runners to come into the pits. So here we go. Everyone's pretty much line astern in this battle for P3. Morrow hasn't got away from Scanlon yet. It looks like Capel went incredibly deep there. He's going to come under pressure from Weatherston now. You don't need to give Davy too many opportunities there. They're going side by side into a really tricky corner, and Davy backs out. Capel keeps the position. And Davy's going to get alongside going up the hill again, but he's going to be stuck on the outside if he did that. So that's why he backed out. He's tucked in behind Capel. Definitely has a pace advantage. Capel's probably a little bit spooked right now with how close Davy is behind him. But yeah, he's kept it on track and online so far. Scanlon actually putting Morrow under a little bit of pressure as well, so it's all starting to come together now for some of these drivers. Winters lurking in the background as well. Really intense battle going on here, and yeah, we'll have to see what happens when they round this next corner onto the back straight, 'cause this is going to be a good opportunity for Scanlon to get a position back, and also for Davey to try and get past Capel. So like, it looks like Morrow got a better exit than Scanlon, so it looks like Capel didn't managed to get as good of an exit as Morrow did. Davey's still pretty close, and I have a feeling Davey's going to try and chuck it up the inside. We have to go around this little right-hander, still flat out. Davey backs out of it a little bit, and oh, nearly loses it completely. He's about to lose the position to Andy Winters because of that. A rare mistake by Davey, and he's down. Instead of challenging for 5th, he's down in 7th. So not the best outcome there. And Davey's going to have to regroup and think about taking Andy Winters again. He's very close to Andy as we head into turn 1. Just little micro mistakes like that you can't afford to make when you're making a championship challenge in a car that, let's all agree, isn't one of the strongest, is it? But he's got a chance here again. He's really close in Andy's slipstream right now. He's gonna have a look into turn 2, and Andy's too late on the brakes for him. Keeps the position quite comfortably, and yeah, a lot of more blue flags are coming out, which could potentially get in the way. We're going up the hill now. Let's see what's happening with... Whoa. There's someone going very slow, letting everyone get around them, but it looks like Scanlon has lost a bit of time to Morrow there, overtaking that lapped car. Capel's pretty close to him now. So that might be bad news for Scanlon if he's lost the slipstream of Morrow, unless he really nails this downhill section. You tell me what happened with the disqualification. Why were you speeding? Were you going like massively over the speed limit or something for the disqualification? I would have just thought if you were speeding they give you another speeding penalty. Right, a little bit wobbly anyway for Scanlon out of the last corner, but he's got a pretty decent gap to Capel right now. Yeah, the gap is being stretched to almost a second. Weatherston is pretty close to Andy Winters though, and he's going to try and do what he failed to do against Capel in this braking zone, and yeah, he's just not close enough to chuck it in. So Andy survives again, and this is holding up Davey now, it looks like. So Davey's chances of a good result are starting to fade here. Rozhnov's just extended his lead on P2 by 10 full seconds exactly in the space of 10 laps. So that is 1 second a lap faster plus than the rest of the field for Rozhnov. Really is in a class of his own at this stage of the race anyway. But it's Bathurst, anything can happen. Let's have a look at Paris and Cabras. They are doing pretty solid in 9th and 10th for Silver Class. Car's much more battered. The top guys haven't got a single bit of damage on the car. Every time I look further back, every single person has plenty of damage. But yeah, they're sticking it out. They think it's beneficial to do this than going into the pits. Fitterer not too far behind either, so he's doing fairly well. Then there's a huge gap down to Fitzinho, who still hasn't finished his previous lap. He's just coming around the corner now. He's still not actually a lap down on Rozhnov. He's just not set a time yet. Went into second to 36 miles per hour, and then disqualified for not taking the drive-through. When it says 1 lap remaining, you need to go in. Yeah, that's a tough lesson to learn, but yeah, never mind. Put your feet up. Davey's dropped quite a bit back from Andy here, so he's had a bit of an issue up the mountain somewhere. I wonder what's happened to him. Also, Rozhnov's starting to lose a little bit of time as well. He's lost 4/10 to Regnix on this lap. Reg pushing hard. He's got a 3.8 second gap over Morrow. So he's starting to look a little bit more comfortable as we start to enter the pit phase window in terms of coming in and coming out and still being alright. I think these top guys will want to extend as long as possible because obviously with the length of the pit stops you just have no idea what kind of traffic you're going to be in, lapping cars or racing for actual position. It's going to get a little bit confusing as the lap wears on. One of the cars just came out the pits a lap down. And right into the path of Scanlon, actually. So that's Capadia, that's HK. Where's he dropped down to then? He's down in 25th at the moment. So yeah, Morrow's closed back up to Scanlon again. The gaps are closing in once again, and Capel is pretty close behind as well. So this could all change in the pit window, depending on when people pit and all that kind of stuff. Looks like none of them are going to have to repair any damage at the very least. Scanlon, oh, that is not the way to get out the way. Oh dear. HK, well, he just came out the pits, probably just fixed all of his damage and got damage again. That is an interesting way to do it, but it's benefited Scanlon massively. He is way more than that half a second that's showing over Morrow now. Morrow having to really back out to avoid any kind of damage with HK, where the contact kind of happened when Scanlon was already past him. So yeah, good news for Scanlon for now. Capel fairly close behind. Andy Winters is closed right back into Capel as well with all that happening. And Davey. So 3 to 7 is separated by maybe 3 seconds, I would say. Then we got a 5-second gap to Peter. Paris has started to gap Cabras, it looks like. Maybe a second is the gap right there. The Major's jumped into P1 because Fitzinho's in the pits. Major has carried on a little bit longer in bronze tier. So he is now the race leader for bronze. Nice to see a bit of a change. But we'll see where Fitzinho comes out in relation to Kane specifically. Kane's made his pit stop. Maurer is the highest driver who's made a pit stop still. So he's been doing pretty well since his early stop. Worked his way back up to 16th. That'll be a lot higher when everyone else decides to make their stops. Just a second, I will be right back. Right, I'm back. It looks like I've missed some pit stops, actually. So Capel's come out in P11, so he's now the highest placed driver who's come in the pits. Fitzinho's actually out in the top 15 still after his pit stop. And Major's in the pits currently, so we'll have to see whose strategy worked out best between those two, because they were pretty close together on track as well. Fitzinho just ahead of Maurer too. Scanlon starting to gap Morrow by a second at this point. Weatherston's dropped to 3.8 behind, but that's because he's up to P5 because Andy Winters is currently in the pits as well. So Capel pit a lap before Andy Winters, who's now serving his incredibly long pit stop. Peter starting to close in a little bit on the top guys as well finally. Not been on the pace of the top guys so far today, Peter, but he's trying to do an audacious overcut on some of these drivers to close the gap and have better tyres for the rest of the race. Scanlon starting to get reeled in on the uphill section again by Morrow. Also, Rozhnov has extended his lead again to 10.2, so that's another 0.6. He's found. Paris also coming in the pits now. So that promotes Cabras to top of silver. Dandes is top of bronze, but he is still yet to pit. Major came out ahead of Fitzinho by the looks of things. We'll have to wait and see what happens when we start seeing sector times, because they can still shuffle down. Meanwhile, Morrow just being very patient behind Scanlon, but definitely seems to have a little bit more pace. And you've got to wonder if he managed to stay ahead of Scanlon, if he'd have been able to challenge Regnix a little bit more. Neither of them coming in just yet. Weatherston carrying on as well. We've got Peter a little bit further back. Only 6 seconds back though. And Cabras is quite a long way back, still with a bit of a battered car ahead of Fitterer, who is only 6 seconds back at the moment. Capel is 2.3 ahead of Andy Winters. They were pretty close on track before. He's in a lot of traffic though, so this might not work out too well for Capel. Regnic's in the pits now, so he is potentially trying to get a little bit of an undercut done on Rozhnov. We are on lap 15. Well, these guys are on lap 14. The leaders are on lap 15. Capel overtaking one of the back markers there. So we'll have to see where he comes out in relation to Regnix. Regnix should be comfortably ahead if all goes well. There's a lapped car really out of shape there. Actually, everyone behind Capel's out of shape. But Capel managed to avoid it all. Andy Winters has not though. He's just trying to negotiate his way through these cars now. He's got Maurer to overtake now as well there. Oh dear. Oh no. That was bad. That was bad. We are halfway through the race officially. Maurer punted Andy Winters out of the way a little bit there. That's going to drop him off the back of Capel by quite a way where we finish this first sector. Let's see what it comes out as. Well, it's saying 1.9. I think it's a little bit bigger than that actually after that mistake. It looks like Fitterer is coming out of the pits now. And there's Paris. This is a battle for potentially P1 in silver tier. Paris has the overspeed because he was coming out of turn 1 and not out of the pit, so he gets the position only just on Fitterer. So that nearly worked out really well because Fitterer wasn't that close to Cabras. I don't know, I think we're saying Paris. Paris a big loser out actually. He is down in no, I was right. It was Paris, excuse me. He is ahead of Fitterer, but he is 9 seconds behind Cabras. So Cabras doing really well in that section of the track, of the race, sorry, to extend quite a big lead over Paris. Potentially Paris having to get out of the way for lapped cars, or potentially fixing some damage. His car does look fixed. Let's see if Cabras actually fixed any of his damage, because if he hasn't, I'd expect Paris to close the gap for the end of the race. Yep, that is why Cabras has that lead. He didn't fix his damage and Dan did, and Dan's lost 9.5 seconds to him because of it. So the rule with cars is after the first 2 rounds you're allowed to change your car if you hate it, but you do lose all your points from the first 2 rounds as a penalty. So Dan decided to do that, decided to change to the Bentley instead of the Nissan, which I thought the Nissan was pretty good, to be honest, and he was doing pretty good as well, but he seems to be enjoying this Bentley as well up in P2. So yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, they can all drive any car that they want anyway. The cars don't randomly change performance mid-season like they do in GT. They all stay the same because it's a custom BOP that's being applied, not like the game's BOP. Anyway, Rozhnov out of the pits. He is now 15 seconds ahead of Regnix. Morrow is stuck behind a car. I can't really tell who it is. It looks like he's 5 seconds behind Regnix and 4 ahead of Capel. Peter after making some good progress trying the overcut, he's come out just behind Andy Winters actually. So that has not been a good pit window for Andy Winters. He's down in 7th now under pressure from a driver who was I think 6 seconds or more behind at various points earlier in the race. And the dodge is good on the back straight, so let's see if he can... Oh, there's been a crash with Capel, it looked like, ahead. There's... Whoa. That is the biggest crash I've seen. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars involved in that, and 1 car managed to actually thread the needle. Capel's car's completely damaged on all sides by the looks of things. He's going to struggle to get back going again, and this is going to completely change quite a lot of drivers. I think he might be resetting to pits, yeah. So he is going to drop outside potentially the top 20 there. We were waiting for one of those big accidents, and it ended up happening. We'll have to see what that actually does for the top, because it's still showing Capel in 6th. Andy Winters has had to reset to pits. Peter might have been the one that got away with it all. Yeah, he's up into P6 now. 15 seconds off Morrow, so he didn't really get away with it. And he's off again. Look how battered the front of his car is. Definitely didn't get away with anything there. He's going to make it all the way back into the pits. Definitely can't keep going as it is. I don't know if that's crossing a pit line, because he didn't do it on the dotted bit, but his car is completely totaled. Cabras, in silver, is going to get promoted up to 6th place here. And Paris and Fitcher are also in for really solid top 10 results as well, if they can... work together and catch Cabras. They have a really good chance to. The gap is still 9.3. It's not really closing the gap at the moment. So yeah, that was a lot of lapped cars there. There's another car off track. Who's number 6? Spectre is stationary. We can't actually see his car. And the number 66 Chaos has hit the wall as well there. So not going too good for these two. I don't know. Is he just waiting for the other cars to pass potentially? Yep, there's one more after this. Goodbye, Chaos. Hey, God. So it's all kicking off. Everyone's in the wall. Rozhnov having a wonderful time. He's got lots of cars that he needs to be lapping. I feel like this car that's getting out the way now is being lapped 100 times by different people. That's HK again. Scanlon is still... Well, he's actually in the pits now, so he'll be leaving the pits fairly shortly. So let's see. Rozhnov is just approaching turn 1. He was more battling with Regnix and Weatherston, who's managed to get all the way up into P4 now. This could have worked out really well for Scanlon. He's just stayed out of all that horrible trouble that the rest of them experienced. Fracas still hasn't actually made his mandatory stop either, but he's definitely been in the pits. So let's see where Weatherston comes out in relation to Regnix. Looks like Reg is already on the back straight, so he's still in net P2, got quite a big lead on Weatherston. Weatherston did get past Morrow in all of that, so Morrow still 5th position, not been able to take full advantage. There's another car just off the track there. That's the number 27, which is... Where is the number 27? That's Peter. Peter's had a nightmare. He's been off track in turn 1. I think he might have span it. Oh, he's just parked up, actually. Not entirely sure why, but he is going again. Very, very strange. Yeah, I'll have to ask what happened after the race, because that was a very weird one. Morrow looks like... And the whole race, he looked like he's got better pace than Weatherston, but somehow he's ended up behind him. Morrow's been stuck behind drivers the entire race, so we're not entirely sure what his true pace is. Is it as good as the top guys on the podium? He's currently 10 seconds off a podium position and 2 positions away from it as well, so... Everything's starting to settle down a little bit again. O'Leary and Major are in the top 10. That's insane. Major just ahead, just behind O'Leary still. He's been stuck just behind O'Leary for quite a while. There was a lag server spike. Okay. That would make sense. Maybe some people have poor connection that impacted it. It didn't look like a lag spike from what I could see. Anyway. Major to silver. Well, to be honest, this is not a representative track for pace because he's only 10th because everyone else has killed themselves multiple times and he's just having a normal, potentially bronze-paced race, you know? He's a lap down already and we're not even 2/3 of the way through. That's crazy, actually. Everyone up to 9th place is on the lead lap, and then everyone else is at least a lap down. And that's where you start dropping like a stone because you just have to let so many people through. Let's see what's happening with Davey and Morrow. They're still pretty close together on track. The cars look pristine and brand new. It's like we're racing in two different kinds of races. One with cars that can perform at the optimum because they're never going to hit the walls. Cars absolutely glued to the track compared to Dodgems further down. Let's see what's going on a bit further down. Where is everyone shaking out? Jesus, HK's still not even done his mandatory pit stop yet. Getting out the way again, but this time for Major. Yep, there you go. Chaos in 25th. We've seen him in the walls, we've seen him in the wars. He's still on course for a few good points. We've had a couple of rage quits, actually. 3 to be exact. So I'm not sure who has quit. That's a bit unfortunate. I don't know what that does in terms of points. They'll score 0, but I don't know what it does in terms of their attendance and all that kind of stuff. Skipper's in 23rd, one of our only Xbox players. Then Weston, really disappointing for him. He's been in the top 10 usually, down in 22nd. Fracker's just coming out of the pits after making his pit stop. He's actually a bit further back than that. Steenstra working his way up into the top 20. Says he's 4 laps down off the lead, which is a mental, the field spread. Capel after his... where is he? There he is. After his reset to pits, he's down in 18th. Blocker in bronze, 17th place. Ben in 16th. Maurus doing pretty well, but he's in the pits right now. That's not a scheduled stop, I don't think. So he's going to be dropping back. Major still top, but he's hitting the wall, letting the other drivers through. That wasn't too good. He's got quite a big gap to Dandes behind though. Pit lane simulator. Yeah, you don't get any second chances in ACC, that's for sure. I wonder how many laps down HK is going to end. I'm quite excited to see. Put in the chat what you think, how far down HK is going to be by the end of the race. Battle for silver doesn't look like it's hotting up anytime soon either. Paris still over 9 seconds behind Cabras. Hasn't been able to close the gap at all. Looks like the damage on Cabras' car is not a problem for him. Regnick looks like he's pretty close to Scanlon all of a sudden, and that is very unfortunate. And all of a sudden, Weatherston is in P3, in the podium positions. He's just had to bide his time, not make any mistakes. And everyone else, I mean, Regnick is still off the track here. That should have been, he was just getting a bit too excited. He saw P2, he was catching Scanlon pretty quickly there. And then, yeah, taking too much speed through the chicane, loses the rear in the gravel, and yeah, down to 5th, 10 seconds behind Morrow now as well. Morrow and Weatherston pretty close together at least, as they have been all race long. But yeah, Morrow's still not been able to do anything to get that position back. So, big respite for Scanlon. He's got 7 seconds on Weatherston. which, unless he makes a mistake like what Regnick's did, he should be fairly comfortable here. So this would be by far Scanlon's best result of the season. Potentially opportunity for him to mount a title challenge off the back of this. Oh, there's a car that he's got to get past, though. They fortunately got off track. Who was that? That was number 50. That was Fracas. Fracas, he's still on track, and someone else has gone off at the exact same point. Fracas's car is badly damaged there, so yeah, a top 20 definitely out of sights for Fracas. Fitterer in the pits again, fixing the damage that he got, so yeah, doesn't look like a podium's coming his way. Oh, it's all going off. Actually seeing loads of carnage here today. Missing most of it, but seeing quite a lot. But yeah, this has been cruise control for Rozhnov. He has not put a foot wrong. He's got a 20-second gap. He's in cruise control at the moment for these last 16 minutes, sorry. Regnick's, the fortunate thing for Regnick's is that he didn't damage his car. So he should have been able to get his tyres back up to temperature reasonably quickly, hopefully for him. Yeah, just a shame for him because he should have had that podium. That was pretty much guaranteed for him. Paris, meanwhile, lapping a car there. Looks like it's going to be a solid P2 for him. O'Leary doing incredibly well in 8th place overall in the silver. I think he struggled the first 2 rounds, but we're seeing some really solid driving from him today. Not a stranger to Bathurst is O'Leary. It's probably helping. Morrow still very close to Davey. Seeing some good battles shaping up for the end of the race. This is the part of the race where the tyres are going to start potentially overheating, potentially just getting a little bit too worn. It's a very demanding track on the tyres with how you have to lean on them through these really tricky corners up and down the mountain especially. This was the scene of the huge crash earlier. No dramas for these guys though. Let's see what's going on a little bit further back. So Kane was doing fairly well, but he's dropped all the way down to 24th, so he started well, and this is where we've come to know that where he finishes. Weston still not even going to finish in the top 20. This is a disaster for him, and his attempt to get a good championship result this season is probably going to be his drop round. I don't imagine he'll be further down this season. Steenstra as well, probably going to be a drop down. Looks like he's battling Maurer there for P19 if they want to actually show us the battle. Maurer on the inside, and he has to give up the position. Steenstra just too strong on the brakes, get to that position, so a couple of extra points for Steenstra for his troubles. Fitzinho down in 3rd at the moment, so he had quite a commanding lead coming into the pits, but he's been jumped by Major and Dandes, who started all the way in last place. He's worked his way up to 10th now. Very impressive drive from Dandes. Meanwhile, where's Morrow? Morrow is pretty close behind Davey again, but Davey's just not putting a foot wrong. He's not letting Morrow get close enough. Got number 27 in the pits, that's Peter, so he's been in the wars once again, so he's going to be dropping down even more. Capel down in 16th, has risen back into the top 15 despite that huge crash he was involved in. But yeah, he should be in basically the top 6 at minimum, Capel. If it wasn't for that, I'd like to see a replay of that actually, if someone wants to clip it from the race replays. Maybe it'll end up in the stewards, I'm not sure. It's probably just a racing incident, to be honest. That part of the track is impossible when there's that many cars around, especially different paced cars, and different speed with the lapped cars in there as well. Oh, Morrow nearly clipping the inside there, which could have spelled trouble. O'Leary's down. He's dropped behind Paris, it looks like. So O'Leary must have been in the wars there. He's definitely lost that position to Paris. Paris now back up into P2. in the Bentley. We've got a little battle outside the top 12 with a huge bunch of gold drivers in. They're quite spread out, but these are the guys that have had not so good races, I think it's safe to say. Oliver's actually a lap down on Major, despite being two tiers ahead. Yeah, everyone up to Dan has been lapped. Everyone up to Fitzino has been lapped twice. There's been an off. Who was that? I can't see. It's the number 25 again. That is Skipper's off track, and it looks like HK is off again in the background as well. Yeah, that is HK. There he is. So it's all going wrong for these guys. That's why they're outside the top 20, unfortunately. I think HK needs a bit more practice in ACC. This is a baptism of fire for sure. Maura in the pits at the moment as well, just coming out, so he's dropped right down. He was doing pretty well earlier. See what Cabras is up to. Looks like he's just ahead of who's he just ahead of? I can't tell. Oh, pole. So he's a lap up on pole at the moment. Really solid drive from Cabras. Usually he's not in the top 10, so this is a hugely impressive race for him. He was the quickest out of the silver drivers in practice. Now he's got a 10-second lead in the race, so the consistency and the speed around here certainly seems to be there. Morrow looks like he's got past Davey, actually. Davey's been in the wars. He's now 3.7 behind Morrow. Has he got any damage? Davey was pretty much guaranteed a podium there. He's made a mistake. Unfortunately, we didn't see that after all that battling they did. Morrow just stuck behind him for the whole stint. Now with a comfortable... Oh, and he's coming into the pits. And is he going to make it? I'm not sure if he made it. No, he's still outside. He's not made it in the pits yet. This is a disaster for Davey. Now he's in the pits. That is certainly a disaster for him. Regnix is going to come around and take the P4 away from Davey. Yeah, Reg we saw in the gravel earlier, which dropped him outside the top 3, but at least he's going to gain 1 position. So a rare mistake from Davey, and then another one to put him in the pits. That's dropped him behind Regnix. Is Cabras going to take Davey as well? It's impressive that a silver driver is going to be finishing ahead of the 2-time champion in gold potentially here. Davey's still in the pits. Paris is going to come around and overtake him as well now. There's potentially a long stint in the pits for Davey if he's fixing his fuel. Yeah, it looks like he's going to probably come out between Dan and O'Leary in 7th place. So hugely unfortunate for him. Major, meanwhile, is just very, very solid in P9 there. Major, one of the only drivers in ALR to get a double win in GT7, and the track he did get a double win in was around Mount Panorama. Was a little bit of a time ago, but yeah, he's demonstrating all of his skills are transferable to ACC, because he's going to get quite a good class win here as long as he can drive a little bit better than that. He's just ahead of I'm pretty sure that's Pole still, who is quite a way back. So yeah, Major definitely doesn't have to let him overtake. It's not Pole, it's Chaos, potentially. I can't tell. Doesn't matter. Oh, actually, it's is it Cabras? Oh, wow, actually, Major's getting overtaken by Cabras here, so he is going to have to get out of the way. He's not been in a rush, so this might be a bit annoying for Cabras to see that the driver in front's not getting out of the way so that he can lap him. There we go. Now he's getting out of the way. Weatherston did come back out in 7th. He's just going up the mountain now. He's quite a way behind Dan. Dan's pretty much finishing his lap now, actually. There's Dan just coming to the final turn, and Weatherston is just started the back straight. So, yeah. Looks like it's going to be 7th for Davey. And a win for Rozhnov, whose lead is currently 13 seconds, is going to probably have him at the top of the standings. A big missed opportunity here for Peter as well, down in 17th. He's been in the wars. We've seen him have some incidents. Looks like HK is in the pits again for damage. Skipper's also in the pits. So yeah, every lap we've had drivers in the pits. Oh, Peter really close to this car in front. I don't know if he's a lap down or a lap up or what's going on. Anyway, let's go back to the front. Morrow's only 2.8 behind Scanlon at the moment. So that's Scanlon kicking up a little bit of dust there. Scanlon under a little bit of pressure in these last 5 minutes. He's got to not make any major mistakes because Morrow is lurking in the background there. But behind that, there's a huge gap to Regnick's, 19 seconds now. So as we wind down, let's see. Well, looks like HK is actually ahead of Chaos at the moment. Chaos is off track. That's, you don't need to get out of the way that much to let the cars lap you, mate. Kane in 23rd at the moment. His car looks pretty battered on one side as well, so he's definitely thwacked a wall in the mountain somewhere. Huge gap between the top 3 in bronze and everyone else. Let's see what the constructors look like. So it looks like a pretty good day for Ferrari. 3 of the top 5, including a silver driver. Aston looks like it's done pretty well around here, 2nd. Reg from 1st down to 4th. Made a couple of mistakes, but still a solid result for him in the McLaren. Bentley in 6th, only Bentley on the track in 6th, beating the only Honda on the track in 7th. And then we got 2 BMWs in the top 10, you'll have to see it. Dandes with a little bit of damage himself. He's 17 seconds off the back of Major. And Fitzinho's, yeah, he's a couple of corners behind Dandes as well. So it's not, yeah, he's 14 seconds. He's not going to be closing that down in these last 2 laps. Potentially 3. We'll have to wait and see if the leader gets that last lap in. But yeah, still looking pretty comfortable for Morrow. He's got a 2.2 second lead. Sorry, for Scanlon, he's got a 2.2 second lead on Morrow. What happened to Andy Winters? He's down in 16th now. He was doing pretty well. Involved in that huge incident. Capel, I don't think he'll be getting any higher than 15th, unfortunately for him. He should have been in the top 5 as well. Well, basically you could say that about everyone that you can see here. Could have potentially been in the top 5. Weston, looks like you're not going too quickly. I don't know. So we are on 2.5 minutes left to go. Basically, when the checker flag comes out, that means the leader is on their final lap. So everyone who is unlapped by the leader basically finishes on the same lap as the leader. which I think is only the top 7. Rozhnov looks like he's got a bit of damage actually, so being in the walls very slightly. Survived anything major is actually definitely being in the walls, because his lead has shrunk to 7.8 seconds. So we've missed something massive here. Rozhnov being in the wars in the latter stage of this race, it's still probably going to be alright. This is going to be his final lap, I think. Yeah, there we go. Leader on final lap now. So once he comes round, the checkered flag falls. 7.4 seconds is the lead on Scanlon. The gap at the end, he's nearly thrown it all away. I'm sure the gap is going to continue to shrink. You can actually see Scanlon coming through turn 1 now. So that's the first time in a while that he's could actually see anyone else on the same screen. Regnick's meanwhile, yeah, just all on his own in 4th. So we'll stick with Rozhnov, see how he negotiates the rest of this lap, because he does have damage. He's managed to maintain the lead through the first sector, I think. Actually, he's just gone through the first sector now. Scanlon's going to come through. Morrow's starting to catch him. Scanlon actually has to lap HK again. And yeah, HK gets out of the way well there. And Morrow is going to get past him pretty comfortably as well. So the gap is shortening very slightly. There's now another lapped car approaching. That's Skipper's. Skipper's hits the wall as he gets out of the way. Quite a common theme here. But it's looking fairly comfortable for Rozhnov. Rozhnov on the back straight now is going to maintain this gap that he's got over Scanlon. It's going to be a very dominant win. He's got the fastest lap as well, which I doubt is getting beaten on this lap, considering how much damage all the cars have at this stage of the race. Yeah, it's super dominant. He's led since the start pretty much. Got a great start on Regnick's. We've just got one more corner to negotiate. He has been incredibly slow this lap. He's now only got 6.2 on Scanlon. So maybe if there was 2 or 3 more laps, he would have been caught. But he doesn't need to worry about that, because he's going to take his 2nd win in a row. Absolutely fantastic for Rozhnov. Scanlon getting his best result by far of the season in P2. Morrow, a very good P3 again for him. Then we got a big gap for Regnick. What might have been for him, he could have had a much better result had he not spanned the car into the gravel at that exact corner that you just saw him go through. But it's still, regardless, it's going to be a huge clutch of points for him in the season. So a really solid P4 for Regnick's. Then we've got a big gap all the way down to Cabras in P5. As you see, Fitzinio's actually already crossed the checker flag. He's 3rd in class for bronze, but Cabras coming through the chicane now. Absolutely fantastic race for him. Maybe this is the track that he likes the best on the game, but avoided all the drama. Takes a dominant win in class. Definitely his first class win of the season, so really well done for Cabras. 26 seconds off the back of P4, which is nothing to sniff at such a challenging track. Paris, in his 4th race in ACC, is going to get P2 in class and 6th total. Absolutely fantastic drive to get 6th and beat the double champion behind him as well. And the last driver on the lead lap is going to be Davey. So at least he didn't get lapped, but it's been a very poor round for Davey. He's going to lose a lot of points in the race at the top, with Rozhnov getting that victory. So the 100 driver, double champion in 7th. Then everyone else has been lapped. So O'Leary's already crossed the checkered flag. Major just crosses to take bronze victory, and then Dandes is going to get P2 in class. Just one of the very last drivers to cross the line. Great drive for him from the back of the grid all the way up into the top 10. Then outside the top 10 you got Fitzinio, Fitterer, Oliver, Pale up into 14th in the end. Winters, Peter, Steenstra, Pole, Black and Maurer in the top 20. Then outside the top 20 you got Weston, Longworth, who's just about to cross the checkered flag. Blocker, who is coming out of the pits. I don't know what's going on there. I think he might be timed out. He's in 23rd. Skipper's in 24th. Chaos 25th. And HK in 26th. Unfortunately, Tierney has been disqualified, and we had 3 people DNF as well. So yeah, pretty good one, gotta be said. Let's see if we can see some of these results here. So let's have a look at. So in qualifying, it was Rozhnov ahead of Rejniks and Morrow. In the race, Scanlon actually jumped from fourth to second, but the other top two guys were the same, and Rejniks dropped from second to fourth. So basically, the top four all started and ended in the same position. The AM is Major with a 14-second lead, so that was a much bigger lead than what Rozhnov did over Scanlon. And then in Silver, a 17-second lead for Cabra, so he has the most dominant victory in class today. So yeah, that's it from me. Yeah, see you next time for